So, just got back with breakfast. So, for those of you that are going to be traveling into the area, right now with the pandemic, you're not going to see a hot breakfast. If you want a hot breakfast, you're going to have to go out in the city, pay for it. And now, noted, like we discussed yesterday, most restaurants are going to be takeout only. You're not going to see dining in restaurants. So, I'm going to go over the breakfast that you are going to get practically any of your hotel stays. Yogurt. A boring bagel. Apple juice. It's half frozen too, like it's icy. And for your bagel, at least, we get Philadelphia cream cheese. So I'm going to grab a quick bite of breakfast, and then we're going to make it into the city a little bit. And then after that, we've got a bit of time in Central Park. It's in the 50s, going to go up to about 65 today. So it should be pretty nice. So let's get with breakfast, and I'll talk to you soon.
I recall Central Park in fall.
Alright, so we just made it into Central Park. We took the Rockefeller subway exit. Wanted to go by Radio City, Rockefeller Center, and just kind of walk in. So there are a few exits that are closer into Central Park. There are even some that are past the main entrance into Central Park on the southern side. If you say, I'm going to Central Park, there's plenty of ways to get in, out, and around Central Park. Granted, you've got over a mile of area to go through, so it's not something that, you have to see it all or do it all. There's plenty of things that you'll find. So anyways, before the initial reveal here, one of the things that is amazing about Central Park is you have to think that even after you walk about 10 minutes in, there's still so much to go. So this first stop here at Sheep Meadow, we're barely into the park. There's a whole, 2/3 left of this thing. You have to think this entire park, when it was bought by New York, cost as much as the entire state of Alaska. And it's extremely worth it because you get views like this. Everything you've ever seen in movies about this place, every little idea you had, it's absolutely true. Feel free to bring games, bring a frisbee, bring a baseball for catching with a mitt. There's so much to do here. It's a perfect green space, so don't feel like you have to go do Broadways and go to shows and have that dinner at Soho. Even just coming to a park that, granted, most of what is in here is free. You can enjoy a lot of what this park has to offer without spending a single dime. You just have to get here. Make it a trip destination. Enjoy the park. See what it has to offer. It will reward you. The pandemic is very serious in New York, so one thing you're going to notice is you will see masks everywhere. You will see people that are taking this seriously. For those of you that want a more mask-off experience to where you don't feel like you have to keep taking it on and off and on and off, this might not be the trip for you because it's very important. You will see people get called out. New Yorkers have a very specific temperament too, so if you're one of those people, you will get called out. Green spaces like this, take your mask off, enjoy a fresh breath of air, feel a little more relaxed. But just know, as soon as you get back on to any of the paths, mask up, get your distance back. Which, by the way, bring a little bit of cash with you for performers like that if you like what you see. I'm a huge jazz and saxophone guy, so that's like perfect for me. I just got to sit down and have like a free concert for a minute, which, by the way, I really fucking miss live music. Alright, we are at the Bethesda Terrace, which is pretty much one of the most famous landmarks in the city and also one of the busiest. So if you are trying to avoid crowds or the very touristy aspects of New York, this is not a place to be. I would argue at the end of the mall, this is the biggest area that everybody flocks to. This is where you'll see the famous fountains. You're right across from the boathouse where you can rent actual like canoes and take them out onto the water. And it's a gorgeous spot, but just know you're going to be around a lot of people. It's going to be really hard to get pictures and video through here, but it's definitely worth seeing if you've never seen it before. So we just got done eating brunch at the Loeb Boathouse, which is behind me. I'm sorry I couldn't actually really take you along for it. It's still actually a very intimate kind of environment, even though you're in the hustle and bustle of one of the largest and busiest parks in the world. One thing to note, though, is the Loeb Boathouse. There is the back portion that you see right here, but there's also a front portion. The back portion is a full-service dining experience with live music, and they have a full selection of cocktails as well as a full menu. And then the front is more of an a la carte self-serve, and I don't think there's any alcohol either through the front. Now, one thing to note though is there is a bit of a price difference between the two. The front being more a la carte is a little simpler of a menu and a little cheaper. The full-service dining, the prices are a little elevated, but so are the ingredients and choices. Now, the last big thing to note though is your menu does include a 15% gratuity for the dining room. Now, for anybody that's watching internationally though, it is customary to tip within the United States, especially in New York where people work very hard for their money. Now, 15% is an acceptable tip in most areas. However, it's usually customary to leave 20% for good service. So from my perspective and my recommendation, I would additionally tip another 5% for your service because their service is fantastic and it is appreciated for the people that work here in that restaurant. And now that we're done with lunch and we've got our little shoot over here done, we're gonna go over to the Great Lawn. You know that comment I had about missing live music? And see, stuff like that's making this trip completely worth it. As much as I miss the city, I miss the food, I miss the excitement and the things to do and the bountiful activities, I miss stupid, simple stuff like that, like hearing live street music. Alright, so I'd like to welcome you to the Great Lawn. So the Great Lawn is impressive. This is the halfway point of Central Park. There's a lot past this. The biggest thing you're actually going to see next is the Jackie Kennedy Reservoir. After that, there's a couple other paths and some other things that are interesting as well. But just to think, this is the halfway. There's still a whole nother park here. But just the size of this place alone, just to put it in perspective for everybody that might be watching that's local to me, The Washington Square Park in Cincinnati is 8 acres. The Great Lawn itself is 55 acres. So you can fit almost 7 Washington Square Parks inside of just, again, if you want to do Central Park and you want to do it right, give this place time. It will reward you. Also, for those that know me personally, I know it's heavily trafficked. I know it's busy, but the lawn dad in me is seeing this and it's a shame. That's still more exciting than watching a Yankees game. Behind me, you're going to find the Jackie Kennedy Reservoir. Over by where the live music was I just showed you, there's an entrance. There's a couple others that are through the pathway. One thing to note is right now, because of the pandemic, it's only one way basically to keep everybody distanced from each other while you run or walk. Another thing while we're at the subject too is given we are now a little over halfway, probably maybe close to 2/3 if you count the reservoir, and there's still a whole other bit of the park to go. So if you're coming here, make sure you wear comfy shoes, bring a bottle of water, and there's plenty of benches and places to sit down, even in the fields. If you need to take a break, go ahead, do it. You have a whole day here. You have time. Enjoy the park. Don't feel like you have to rush this. Sometimes sitting down and listening to live music is a nice little happy break, which, speaking of, I'm going to go sit down and enjoy some jazz. Alright, so a little bit of a time cut here. So we are actually on the boardwalk at Brighton Beach. Coney Island, where the cyclone is directly in front of me. So behind me, this goes down the coast. Stopping here for dinner. So I actually stopped a little earlier at a place called Fara. It is probably the best pizza I have ever had, and I've only had a bite of it. So again, with COVID, with everything that you are seeing in the pandemic worldwide, again, restaurants are going to be hit. So you're either going to have to choose places where you're going to get food at a full sit-down service restaurant, or everything else is pretty much grab and go, so you're going to have to take it back to your hotel, or you're going to have to find a place to eat. Outside of Fara, it's literally a street corner. There's nowhere to eat. So ended up grabbing the pizza. They box it up in an awesome, just generic box, and took that train all the way down here to Coney Island, where I'm going to go ahead and ride a roller coaster here in a little bit. So to get to Fara, if you've never been there, it is in Brooklyn. It is a jaunt from Manhattan. The train from Midtown will take you about 40 minutes to get there. What you're going to do, you're going to take your handy Metro card, make sure that's loaded up either with a balance, or you're going to purchase the unlimited 7-day, whatever you need to do to get there. You're going to take the Q train. It's going to take you all the way from Midtown or wherever you get on, go across the river, and then you're going to actually get put into Brooklyn. You're going to get off at Avenue J. Once you take the steps down, it's about a 30-second walk outside of that. And let me tell you, it is, if you've ever had true Italian margherita style pizza, if you've ever had anything that is a true reduced red sauce, breadcrumbs on pizza, it's perfect. I can show you enough pictures, I can show you videos of the place, that I've cut in through here. It doesn't do it justice. It is a place that, honestly, you need to spend time. It is a restaurant I can wholeheartedly recommend. So while I dig into pizza and the can of Pepsi that they give you, I'm going to cut and let you guys see the ocean for a little bit, and then we'll get over to Coney Island. So finished up with dinner, and we got to talk about that pizza again. So after actually getting a couple bites in, the crust is perfect. There's like little bits of like charring that it gets, and it just gives it so much flavor. The basil that's in the tomato sauce and the basil that's on top of the margarita pizza itself is amazing. The pepperonis, they're not like Donato's or Papa John's or any of the brands or any even the home brands, you know. It tasted like it was from a deli counter. It was that good. Get it. You will enjoy it. If it weren't for the fact I have other plans tonight and I have a kind of dinner coming up, I'd go there for dinner again. I'm not kidding you. It was 12 bucks, out the door, 2 slices of pizza, can of Pepsi. Perfect. Now to go walk the boardwalk and get some coasters in. Well, coaster. Man, this whole like walking thing after the whole entire morning walking Central Park is not fun. I wish there was an easier way to, like, you know, make that happen. An easy button. Actually, hold on, let's try this. Let's see if this works. Why didn't I just do that earlier? That was so much easier. Oh man, that was weird being on the first roller coaster of the season. So it's, you know, if somebody would have told me my first roller coaster of the year was going to be in New York, I wouldn't have thought it, because I have 2, you know, world-class amusement parks in my backyard. One is less than 30 minutes from my house. For anybody who hasn't ridden the Cyclone, it's cool. For those that are into the nostalgic history that this offers, it's really neat to finally do it. Thrill-wise, it's, if you've ridden any wooden coaster that's a Cyclone out and back style, it's nothing special in terms of what its layout is. It's just good fun. The first drop and a few of the bunny hills towards the end, while it starts losing speed, were fantastic. Was it worth $10? Yes, but you know, if somebody said, hey, let's ride it again, nah. So this is about as close as I dare get to Times Square in the evening. As you can see behind it is very, very crowded, which is really interesting. It goes to show you where the tourists are and where they aren't, because New Yorkers take social distancing and masks very seriously. Seeing this amount of people bunched up and herded the way they are, they're the tourists. What I would tell you is it's a bunch of advertisements. It's really cool to see where the ball drops. It's really cool to see something everybody's seen on TV and movies for decades. But it's just a bunch of advertisements. It's just a bunch of lights. Don't be a moth. Find other beaten paths. Alright everybody, sorry, this one is going to kind of seem like a jump cut, and it's also going to be kind of a quick video to tie in the night. But anyways, this is called the Carnegie Club, so it's literally across from the Carnegie Hall on 57th Street. The easiest way that I've seen is to take the Q train up, and you're going to get off on, I think, 58th, and then you'll just walk down one block. That was the easiest way I saw to get here. But anyways, it is a full cigar lounge. They have cigars ready to buy for you to smoke. They have a huge selection of cocktails and just, single malt scotches. Killer place. If you do smoke cigars, I would highly recommend them. I feel like $1 million tonight, and if anything, we're gonna live a little.